Hey, gorgeous. Long time no see. You'd have to live under a rock to not notice the world's getting a little hotter. And even though in the past we've been able to survive in Montana just by opening every door and window at night and closing it down during the day, up here at the river house, once the heat bakes those rocks, it never cools off. I figure I got two choices. One, I can put the sprinklers and try to keep the entire earth cold, which feels inefficient, or I can come up with some way to cheaply cool the house. And cheap bastard. So this is what I found. This is the power unit out of a giant AC coil used to cool a restaurant. Now, it was all dead and whatnot, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in all this finny goodness here. Also the fact that it's actually designed to sit like that. And this is a completely sealed condensation tray. So I love it. I know that I'm going to get a tremendous amount of condensation when I start running cold well water through that. If you haven't figured out what I'm doing, that's it. When I start running cold well water through that, and that condensation tray means that I can siphon it off and send it somewhere where it can't do any harm. I believe this is the perfect unit. I do not have any idea how much cooling power it's going to have, how many BTUs, how many tons. I don't know what they're even measured by, but this is what I have to work with currently. And after that, it's a stack of car radiators like Dad built, but this feels a little more sophisticated. My problem is I got no idea how it works. So when I initially saw this, my assumption was you had two radiators. It went in and came back out. It went in and came back out. That ain't true. It goes in here and comes out this little pencil nip thing over there. Goes in here, comes out this little pencil nip thing. Now, the only way to make this work is to manage the water correctly. I don't want to be wasting water and running my well pump too much, and I need to put enough water through it. Enough water through it that it actually cools the air. My initial thought was that I would daisy chain those two the way I thought they worked. Daisy chain those two together, and then it would just go in one side and out the other. Clearly that's not now going to work. I can either try to desolder those four little nibs and somehow daisy chain them together and still do that, or I can try those, you know, they're the thickness of a heavy pencil lead is all the thicker those pipes are there. And I feel like that's four of those. That's probably pretty close to the water flow that I would need. But then I'd have to manifold all those together. Made worse by the fact that I misunderstood it when I cut the damn thing apart. So I didn't exactly leave myself a world's worth of copper. Yeah, but if I get heat in there and it knocks this one loose, it could absolutely be a game of soldering whack-a-mole. But I'm going to get the torch out, I think. I'll maybe put a sheet metal shroud around this, and I'm going to try to heat just this line and see with a pair of pliers if I can pop that out. If I can pop that out, and then this one, and this one, and this one, absolutely, 100%, Bob is your uncle. We'll go in here, right? We'll go down, we'll go all the way through. I'll just daisy chain them completely together, and then go. I did a little reading on people who've made these, and other than a depressing amount of people saying, yeah, it doesn't work enough, which I suspect is what the end of this video will be. Like I said, built-in drip tray. Gorgeous. Yeah. I bet there are people out there that knew what was about to go wrong. They're silver soldered. I absolutely cannot get them to unsolder. God, it's hot out here. Want to see what I done? The water part is, I guess, finished. All right, here are the two manifolds. These are set up that I can just buy like some 10-foot garden hoses. Obviously in, obviously out. This valve here is how you set the flow rate. I built my own manifolds by simply drilling into the side of a 1/2-inch piece and soldering them in. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that inside your walls. I did it once in a mine camp trailer that we rebuilt. It's held there for like 15 years. There won't be any pressure on this. There's no valve on the outfeed side, and the throttle valve is before the shenanigans take place. So to connect them together, what I did is I drilled out those little tiny 16th-inch hose ports. I tried to drill them out for the 1/4-inch line that I have, but what I found is it was asking too much and it was starting to twist. And I'm one twisted drill away from pinching that off entirely and ruining it. So I stopped after the first one. It's pretty small tubing. It's not going to flow a lot of water. You have two zones, this zone up here and this zone down here. That's what they're flowing through, and both zones have a little chunk about the same length. So I'm hoping this is all about to flow at the same speed. I'm gonna go take it up by the water hydrant, and breeze feels nice. I'm powered up for the first time, so I'll go see where the water comes out, huh? Okay, he's under pressure up to this point. Here we go, maiden chooch. I don't want to shock it with air bubbles, but maybe I should. Bet this thing's gonna weigh a lot more here in a second. That's wide open. Full house pressure going through it. Cold though, coils are getting cold. I suspect what will actually be flowing is something like that. If this works, I'll straighten out the combs. If it doesn't work, I won't bother. One of the issues we have is our water isn't particularly cold. So let's see, right over my shoulder up there, on the other side of that mountain, is a place called Quinn's Hot Springs. Occasionally up on top of the hill, you'll smell sulfur coming out of dry vents. You can see there's kind of a gray area over there. You probably can't. There's a gray area, there's a dry vent right there, and there is not a hot springs, but a warms springs up on the very top. You know, it comes out at like, I don't know, 60, something like that. But the house water is much warmer than it is at my parents' house, which is freakishly cold. It's like 42 or something like that. Whereas my water comes out at like, I don't know, 53. Not as ideal. We're pulling out of the river right there, and then we're putting back into the river right over there. There's a septic system in between. Everything is fine, but we're only borrowing this water. Kind of a unique situation. So we're only borrowing it and we're putting it back. Came from under the ground and goes back under the ground in pretty much the same place, actually. Comes up right here and about 100 yards, 75 yards that way, goes back underground. So yeah, I don't have to feel guilty about depleting an aquifer or anything like that. I'm just borrowing it and putting it back where I found it. I have tremendous hopes for this. I don't need it perfect. I just, you know, if in August, if I can keep the temps below 80 inside, we'll survive with that. I don't need to burn electricity to cool the whole house down. Summer's hot, right? But I'm a man of creature comforts too, so I do enjoy a good engineering project. We'll have to see. Next time you see it, it'll be on some stand and it'll have some bootleg fan underneath of it, and I'll tell you it's just a test, and I won't you know, keep it like that. But you should know, if it works, it's probably going to be like that for years. Yeah. The box and the fan. It's, I don't know, it was some scrap plywood, although it's oak veneer. So hopefully it looks nice and works great. And it's just got an opening for the fan. This thing at the moment just sits on top of it. I'm only going to use gravity, see if it works before I bother with too much more. So there's not much to it, really. Not very sophisticated. Here it is running. I've tapped off of the cold water port on the hot water heater. That's going to a sink. This is just for testing purposes. So the water's coming in at about 59. This thing isn't quite accurate, and it's leaving at about 70. So I'm getting a 10-degree drop across the coil, and up here in this part of the house right now, it is about 74 degrees. So it's clearly quite efficient. I wish my water coming in, if my water coming in was even 5 degrees colder, this thing would put out so much better. But I am too close to Quinn's Hot Springs. I have no idea if straightening these fins would have a measurable amount of efficiency increase. It got really hit over here, but it did come out of a dumpster, so. I guess we'll find out in July. Seems to work okay. I don't think it's big enough, but it seems to work okay. And I'm putting out a tiny amount of water. Pretty much the smallest amount I can get through it. I told the wife, if it works, I'll make it pretty someday.